Alright guys, yesterday we looked at Bitcoin and today I wanted to cover like major altcoins, maybe not even the top 10 but like 7-8 altcoins, because a lot of people are looking at them right now and saying that okay, we are kind of bottomed for altcoins, it's time to buy, they will go much faster to the upside than Bitcoin. So let's have a brief look at what we have with them. First of all, you remember maybe I made this chart with Bitcoin dominance showing that there is a kind of bullish pennant with a target of 80% for Bitcoin dominance over here, but of course this is not 100% clear whether this will happen, and moreover there is a little bit of so-called hopium about this dominance chart for altcoiners, because you see, for example, this rise of Bitcoin dominance over here, it was very sharp, almost without with corrections, but we don't see the slowing down for this rise. And in this case, the picture is a bit different. So for example, first moves to the upside were very sharp, and then we started to see some kind of, it is getting a kind of a curvature over here. You see the rises started to be smaller and smaller, and very similar to what we have, for example, over here. So again, very sharp rise at the beginning and then slower, and finally we had a huge correction to the downside for the dominance. So potentially we may actually be around this area, and I wouldn't say that we really will see some kind of altcoin season, but the chance for that really appears at the moment. Moreover, in my personal opinion, I would say that it's easier and safer and more reasonable to stick with Bitcoin. I mean, if you will have all the factors like diversification, like all the risks for certain particular altcoins taken into account, and all of that with comparison with more or less careful trading with leverage on Bitcoin, I would say the latter option is much more reasonable than trading altcoins and buying altcoins. However, we can't pretend that there is really no chance that altcoins will outperform Bitcoin in the near future, at least maybe in the short term. So we might see some kind of a pullback of Bitcoin dominance while altcoins will move, let's say 30-40% to the upside. It will not be a major one, but maybe some kind of similar to what we had here. And then after the long sideways price action, we will see the continuation of the growth of dominance. So Bitcoin will outperform altcoins again. It's just the question of when will it happen. So let's look at the major altcoins right now, just to see whether there is some particular signs of the future positiveness in the price action. So Ether, first of all, of course, we had a long drop in Ether price and we dropped below this support line. The thing is, with Ether, we may see some kind of reversal happen very recently. So this green candle is giving us a little bit of hope. Of course, we saw them many times before, and I still tend to think that it's more likely to be a temporal thing with the continuation of the decrease. But let's even look at Heikin Ashi picture. There is no doubt we can see something like this. This was very strong case. We had a support, we had a reversal candle, we had 2-3 candles, green candles in Heikin Ashi after this candle, and it was very likely that we'll see the continuation of the growth, considering this to be an accumulation period, but instead of that, drop. So right now, it's not really the strongest growth case, reversal case, but on the other hand, look at the RSI. RSI is at the historical low. It was at the historical low over here, and now it started to go up. The same with stochastic. Of course, stochastic may be staying with the low area for a very long time, but one way or another, this is the point from where the price will go to the upside. MACD histogram started to move to the green zone like here, when we will see the bullish crossover. Last time we had this rise like 50% or something. Again, I wouldn't say that will be a major one like 10x or something, but at least some correction, let's call it correction to the upside, we may observe indeed. XRP, very similar situation to Ether. The only one difference, which I wouldn't particularly appreciate, is that this decrease period was much longer, and this pullback was much weaker than for Ether. So although again RSI is very low, stochastic is very low, MACD is already forming bullish crossover over here, and last time it was in this area. You remember how strong was the rise of XRP. So technically we may see something like this again, but the inertia, the momentum of this bearish period, bearish trend is very strong. So it will be very hard to move to the upside. But again, if you would just consider to buy XRP at any point of this chart, I would say that even comparing to this case, or even comparing with this case, the current one is the most reasonable. Although of course here you can find some rise in the volume. Here, basically no volume at all. Bitcoin Cash, you may like it or not, but it is one of the biggest altcoins. I think it's one of the weakest at the same time comparing to the other alts, because you see the chart is relatively flat for a very, very long time. And even if you'd see the rises like here or here, they are very, very weak comparing to the other alts. And RSI is not that low already. So maybe we already saw some kind of pullback for Bitcoin Cash, which we only anticipate for other altcoins. So I wouldn't really touch it and prefer to go with other alts. On the other hand, of course, it may be the dark horse which will finally make a strong move comparing to the other alts, but still just not my cup of tea. Litecoin I like a lot. And not only because of the technical picture, which I mentioned in the video a couple of episodes ago, but first of all, Litecoin is one of those alts which is tracking some attention for buyers as a so-called digital silver, comparing with Bitcoin being so-called digital gold. So Litecoin, in my opinion, is very promising in the case of Bitcoin will go up while other altcoins will go down, which is usually happening, but Litecoin in this scenario may go actually to the upside with Bitcoin. Maybe not as fast as Bitcoin, but faster than the other altcoins, and potentially even faster than Bitcoin, like it happened, for example, over here. What I also like is that it went below the support level, but it didn't go that far on the low volume and already started to go up. So maybe it's a false breakdown, which will probably play out very, very soon. On Heikin Ashi again, we have already the first candle with a upper shadow, potentially a reversal signal. And you see how smooth the chart is comparing also with RSI. So RSI have also always reasonable reversal areas, stochastic as well, MACD, bullish crossover. Around here we may expect a bullish crossover for MACD as well. So don't expect it to be like tomorrow or within a week to have a huge rise, but as a potential buy, I think it's one of the best altcoins around the huge caps. Recently I hear a lot of huge analysts mentioning EOS. I don't really see how EOS is better than the others. Of course, yeah, we have the RSI and at the historical low, and comparing with even the initial like 1,000 Satoshis price, seeing at the exchange rate. And yes, we see some kind of reversal signs for the price of EOS. So technically, yes, it is also very similar to the other huge alts, and you may expect the reversal, but why it is much better than the others, I don't really know. And moreover, as I said, we still have a very big range for the downside to reach something like 1,000 Satoshis, while some other alts already are at the very similar levels. Remember, let's say the same Bitcoin Cash, right? So I wouldn't say that it's worse than the others, but I would just be more careful with EOS than, let's say, the same Litecoin. So finally, BNB. Well, BNB is very interesting in terms of the long term. And I was telling about BNB somewhere around here when it just started to go to the upside. It was a huge, impressive rally. Now we corrected with BNB like more than 50% from the top, well, with respect to Bitcoin. And one thing is, it is actually at a historical low for its RSI. It's very low for stochastic, so we are at the support line but we actually dropped below this support, although of course the volume is very low. But in my personal opinion, it's not the point when you are about to catch this falling knife. You would better to see some confirmation of the reversal, but so far there is no confirmation at all. There is no signs of reversal. It's just going down and down. RSI can go much lower. Stochastic may stay at this area for a while. MACD kind of showed the potential stop at this area, but then went down even more. And moreover, for example, before in the previous like rising and correction cycle over here, you see we saw the drop in the price of BNB below the previous high. And we almost, well, we didn't reach the previous low, but we were like halfway of reaching it. So right now we kind of around the same area, but we really could go even lower, repeating the same pattern. So another like 30-40% drop is really possible, and at that point maybe RSI will be even lower. We will start to see some slowing down for the drop, maybe something like this, it will be ideal, and then final shakeout and then rise to the upside. So again, fundamentally I see BNB very promising with all the things which Binance is doing and the development and so on, but technically I think it's just not the time when you would consider buying it. I would prefer to go with other alts. Alright guys, that is it for today. I really don't want to be overly positive on altcoins. Just want to stress out once again that I would prefer to go with Bitcoin, and getting small leverage on Bitcoin is much safer and reasonable than trading alts. But if you have your heavy bags, maybe it's your time to make them a little bit lighter, to fix some small profits, or at least break even if you didn't buy that long time ago. Alright, that is it for today. I hope that it was useful. Thank you for watching.